Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever had a really great idea for making things better in your community or anywhere, really? But then you kind of get stuck on, well, how to actually make it happen. Today, we're going to dive into the strategy, the actual playbook for turning a brilliant idea for positive change into a reality.
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? We all see things we want to fix or improve, but there's this huge gap between having a solid plan and actually seeing it come to life out there in the real world. So, how do we bridge that gap?
And that's really the heart of it. A great idea is awesome, but it's only the starting line. To actually get anywhere, you need a strategy. You need a playbook. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to break down that playbook piece by piece using some proven models to give you a clear three-part framework for making change happen.
Okay, so where do we even start? Well, first things first, before almost any project can get off the ground, it usually needs a green light from the people at the top. Let's say you want to start a community garden in a vacant city lot. This first part of the playbook is all about getting that thumbs up. Securing the approval and the resources you need to even begin.
The first tool in our playbook is something called advocacy. And look at that definition. It's not just about asking for stuff. It's really the art of organizing all your information, data about local food access, neighborhood support, and turning it into a powerful, convincing argument to win over the folks in charge.
So who exactly is the audience for this big argument? Well, it's a very specific group. We're talking about the leaders, the funding agencies, the key decision makers. For our garden project, that's going to be the city council, maybe the parks department, or even a local foundation. They're the ones holding the keys. They're the ones who can say yes.
And the goal of advocacy? It's laser-focused. It really has one single job, to generate support. In this case, it's about getting permission to use that land. It's all about getting that official buy-in to get the ball rolling. So, let's say you did it. The city council gave you the green light. That's fantastic. But you're not done, not even close, because that's only half the battle. What about the community itself? The people who will actually use the garden? Getting their buy-in? That takes a completely different approach.
And that brings us right to Section 2, empowering the community. This is where the change hits the ground. It's all about building change from the bottom up, not just directing it from the top down.
And you can see the difference right here. While advocacy was all about a formal pitch to decision makers, community communication is all about conversation within the community. The channels totally change. We're shifting from city hall meetings to, say, flyers at the local laundromat or a barbecue in the park.
And this is where it gets really fun and creative. We're not talking about stuffy corporate presentations here. We're talking about tools that people actually connect with. For our garden, maybe that's a design a sign contest for the neighborhood kids or an interview on a community radio show. These are the things that create a real conversation in a way that feels natural and accessible.
All that creative communication, it's the spark that lights the fire for community organization. The whole point is to move beyond just talking and get to empowerment. It's a process where the community itself starts to identify its own needs, finds the resources, and takes action together. They don't just use the garden, they help build it and run it.
And this whole process usually happens in two stages. First comes the awakening. That's when the neighborhood gets together and says, you know what, we do need better access to fresh food. Then comes empowerment. That's when they actually form a committee to plan out the garden plots and manage the project. It's all about creating a sense of ownership.
Okay, so let's recap. The leaders are on board, the community is organized and excited, but we're still missing one crucial piece of the puzzle. How does the idea of actually tending a garden plot jump from those first few enthusiastic people to all the other families on the block? How does it actually spread? And that brings us to our final section, the science of how new ideas catch on and spread. This is the micro-level view, the person-to-person stuff that makes all the macro-level planning actually work. The big theory behind this is called the diffusion of innovations. Now, it sounds a little academic, but the idea is simple. It's a model that explains how new things, whether it's a new phone, a new health practice, or a community garden, spread through a population over time. Just think of it as the journey an idea takes. And for each individual person, that journey happens in about 4 stages. First, someone gets knowledge. They hear about the new garden. Then comes persuasion, where they form an opinion, like, that sounds cool, but is it a lot of work? That leads to a decision, to sign up for a plot or pass. And finally, after they harvest their first tomatoes, they look for confirmation that they made a good choice.
So what is it that pushes a person from just knowing about the garden to actually deciding to get their hands dirty? That decision stage is absolutely critical, and it turns out there are some very specific things that influence it.
And here they are. For an idea to really take off, a person is subconsciously asking these questions. Is there a clear advantage here? Am I going to get better veggies than at the store? Is it compatible with my busy life? Is it too complex, or is someone going to show me what to do? Can I maybe try it out with just one little easy plot first? And hey, can I see my neighbors having success with it? The more yeses you get, the faster that idea is going to spread.
All right, let's bring it all home. Let's pull these three powerful concepts together. What we've built here isn't just a collection of random theories. It's a complete, integrated toolkit for anyone who wants to make a change.
And this, right here, is the most important takeaway. Advocacy, community organization, and diffusion of innovations, they aren't separate strategies you can pick and choose from. They're all interconnected gears in the same machine. For our garden to work, you needed the city's approval, you needed an empowered neighborhood, and you needed an idea that was appealing for individuals to adopt. You gotta have all three.
So here it is, your whole playbook on one slide. Use advocacy to get the green light from the top. Use community organization to build a real movement from the ground up. And understand the principles of diffusion to make sure your idea actually catches on and spreads from one person to the next. So, we've walked through the entire strategy, from persuading the powerful, to empowering communities, to understanding how ideas spread. The framework is all here. The only question left is, what change are you gonna make?